this is a place that kind of holds some special memories for you, Ruben. I'm Kevin Eckerberry. I'm back here with Coach Carlin Thornton, and once again, I appreciate it. The sport of football has given so much to Ruben Hairston and has been a vital part of shaping the person he has become. Ruben played football at Troop High, at Fort Valley State, and also in the NFL as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. It's a sport that takes its physical toll on those who play it, and Ruben has the scars to prove it. Ruben wouldn't change a thing, though, and if he could undertake his football journey once again, he would do it. Ruben is a strong believer in the value of football and the lessons it offers, and that's why nearly 30 years ago, he decided to start a youth camp in Troup County. The camp was called the West Georgia Superstar Football Camp, and Ruben invited friends of his from the football world to be a part of it. It was through the camp that I first met Ruben, and covering that event each summer was always a highlight of my year. The camp was something Ruben was passionate about, and hundreds of young people over the years have benefited from being a part of it. In addition to offering the camp, Ruben has also been a football coach in the community, both on the high school and the youth level. Outside of football, Ruben has enjoyed a successful career in law enforcement, and for 15 years he was the chief of the Troup County Marshal's Office. Ruben even took a run at becoming sheriff of Troup County back in 2012. Ruben has enjoyed a rich, interesting life, and he continues to look for new challenges, and he's also hopeful of getting the West Georgia Superstar Football Camp going once again after a hiatus. It was my privilege to talk with Ruben at the Whitesville Road Football Stadium. We touched on a lot of topics from Ruben's playing career to his time coaching to the enjoyment he got from his youth camp and even to a particularly memorable prank in high school that involved a snake in a helmet. I hope you enjoy this week's installment of Kevin's Corner. Hello, I'm Kevin Eckerberry with BTV Sports, and I'm here today with the very special guest, Mr. Ruben Hairston. And Ruben, I appreciate you joining us on Kevin's Corner.
Glad to be a part of it.
And we're actually here at Whitesville Road Football Stadium, and this is a place that kind of holds some special memories for you, Ruben, because you mentioned when you played high school football at Troop.
That's right.
Which used to be right next door to here before they opened their new building. That you would come over here and
this is our practice field.
And practice.
Right.
So being on this field, does this bring back some special memories? What was that like for you?
A lot of hot days out here. And one of the things, like I was telling you earlier about, in the summer camp, we had a training camp, and we had gone in for the morning session. In the afternoon session, we came back out, and we was running, and during the morning session, at the morning practice, we all go in, and we had to come out for the afternoon. And they had just finished cutting the grass out here, so the grass was real green, just like it is now. And the guys had found, I guess the guy that cut the grass, they found a snake. It was a green snake. So some of the guys played a little trick on me. They put the snake in my helmet. So when we came back out for the afternoon session, we started running, and I had gotten real hot, and we was sweating and all. So I kept wiping. I thought I was just sweating because I kept wiping sweat, and I could see a shadow kept sliding down my helmet.
Oh my goodness.
So everybody started laughing, and one of the guys said, "Ruben, there's a snake in your helmet." So I didn't think twice about it. I didn't even unbuckle my chest strap. I just came up, knocked through my helmet way away. Everybody was just laughing. Coach ran those guys so long, it made me tired. He ran them so hard, but I never will forget that. Some of the guys now, they'll bring it up, said, "You remember when the snake was in your helmet and it fell down into your face?" So I never forget that. That's some of the things I never forget.
That's one of those moments that kind of sticks with you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. A snake in your helmet. And somebody said, "It's a snake." Well, so, I didn't even try to unbuckle my chest strap. I just hit it with both my hands through the helmet way over there on the grass. But.
Well, football practice in general was a little different then than it is now too.
Oh yeah,
that was back in the days of 2-a-days, and water was kind of a luxury. So
most definitely. You know, back then we didn't get breaks back then. We just ran till you pass out pretty much, or somebody had to come and pick you up and drag you. We wouldn't worry about taking no breaks back then. You know, it's a different world now. It's just a lot different.
It is. But what you played at Troop High School, and who was the coach that you played for at Troop?
Coach Jim Norris.
Okay, what was that experience like for you playing at Troop High School in those days?
Well, Coach Norris, he was a good coach, but he, you know, we didn't. Growing up, I guess Troop Junior High would put a lot of emphasis on all of us.
Right.
Coach Donald Thomas, everybody called him Not Thomas. So we had a big experience for the Troop Junior High School. And when we came over to Coach Norris, I didn't really get a chance to play that long with Coach Norris, but Troop Junior High School probably put a lot of emphasis on all the kids in this area, playing under Coach Thomas. And after playing for Coach Thomas over there at Troop Junior High School, came over with Coach Jim Norris, but after finishing here at Troop, I was able to sign with Fort Valley. I had other offers, but all my family pretty much went to Fort Valley, and Coach Thomas, and then Coach Lomax and Coach Varner, they came up to sign me, so they gave me an offer, and so I was able to go to Fort Valley State with a full ride. You know, they had to pay anything, so that was great. And after going to Fort Valley, I thought Coach Thomas was at Fort Valley, because all the things that we did at Troop Junior High School, all the running and everything, all the hard drills and everything, Coach Lomax, I guess Coach Thomas took it in from Coach Lomax, and he passed it on. And man, it was, I mean, some days we had to practice. You couldn't even see the coach. It would be at night. We run so much. He would put his headlights on his car, and all you could hear is whistle.
My goodness.
But he was strictly disciplined, so everybody continued to do what they were supposed to do. So it made a difference in all our lives, because, you know, they taught us a lot of, you know, it was just great playing for those guys, because, you know, like now they taught you football, you know, they taught you football, but they taught you life skills also. You know, you weren't gonna be able to play football forever, so they taught you, you know, how to survive after football. So I really appreciate all of them. Like sometimes I see some of my educators, and I tell them I really appreciate everything y'all taught us, because it helped us in life. So it was just great.
Football is a sport. You talk about life. A lot of times it's about overcoming adversity.
Oh yeah, most
football is all about challenges, both physical and mental. And do you feel that like playing football and being a part of that sport really kind of shaped you and helped you become the person you are now?
I think football helps with discipline, respect, and seems like that's what we need today.
Right.
We've gotten away from that. Back then, you know, you had to be disciplined. If you messed up on a play, you had to run that play until you got it right. And respect, I mean, you know, it just, a lot of kids don't, you know, the parents say, well, that's too rough sport. I don't want my child to participate. But I think it helps down the road in life, you know, like life skills. So it really helped me a lot, because I had a little attitude, and being, you know, some things I had to take on the field that I normally probably wouldn't have taken if I was just out. But a lot of things I had to take. Coach would run us forever, and they would punish us for doing things like that. So it helped me down the road, and it prepared me for life pretty much.
Absolutely. And football also, you mentioned, it gives a lot of young people a chance to go to college, which you probably would have had that opportunity anyway. But to get the chance to go to Fort Valley State on a full ride, that must have been really big for you and your family at that point.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I tell a lot of kids today that, you know, it's three things that help me in life. Put God first, respect, and education, and you pretty much do anything in life that you want to.
Sure.
But you have to put God first in everything. It don't matter what it is, but you got to put him first, number one. Then respect. Because you may not be the smartest kid in the world, but if you're respectful, people will help you down the road. And the education, I mean, it's no limit. You know.
Sure. And when you go to Fort Valley State, one thing that has not changed over the years, it's really challenging being a student athlete in college. Just balancing your time. Obviously, football requires so much.
Oh, yeah.
Then you have the academic side of it and all the other responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
So you go to Fort Valley, that had to be a really kind of a learning experience as well, just finding a way to balance all those different responsibilities.
Well, yes, you know, leaving out of 12, it was 12. I had a large family.
My goodness.
Yeah, so I'm the baby out of 12. Never had been away from home before. And I never will forget when my parents took me to Fort Valley. If I had a key to the trunk of the car, I probably would have ran and opened that trunk and jumped back in the car.
Right.
They carried me in, and we met everybody. They introduced me to all the coaches and everybody, my advisor. And after that, my parents took me to get me something to eat that afternoon. Then they brought me back to the dorm, and they were pretty much on the way. And I stood there for a long time because I didn't know anyone. All the one I knew, the coaches I had met when they came over to the school, they signed me here at Troop. So I knew them, but other than that, I didn't know anyone. And, you know, then after, you know, just unity, it's coming as one. I never seen, you know, I never did, how could I say, I'm just saying, some of the guys that you come in contact, you never seen them before in your life, and you become like a brother.
Sure.
So, you know, I tell a lot of kids too that, you know, you got a problem with gangs and stuff, but if you want to be a part of a gang, get on a basketball team,
Right.
football team, track team, baseball, and you'll be surprised how close you can come to be as one. And, you know, and it just taught me a lot, you know, and I felt, and those guys would do anything for me.
Right.
And I would do anything for them. And I never known them. I never seen them in my life, but we became as one. And that's what, you know, Coach instilled into us. You know, we are one. We are a unit as one, and we work together as one. So,
Well,
college was a good life skill for me too, you know.
Well, to me, that's one of the beautiful things about sports is you have a team, people from every possible background, economic background, racial backgrounds, you name it, and you kind of come together.
Right.
And you learn to be a family. You learn, and those are traits that'll obviously serve you well when you get out in the real world, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, you had to get up in the mornings early.
Right.
I mean, preparing you for life. You know, you got to get up and get ready to go to work. So playing football and everything else, it just taught you how to, you know, get up and be responsible and be a responsible person.
Absolutely. What did you, when you were at Fort Valley, what did you major in while you were there?
I majored in health and physical education.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you always, I know later on you went into coaching, is that something you always kind of had in the back of your mind?
Well, after playing football, I wanted to be a coach, but I guess I had a bad experience when I did my student teaching.
Gotcha.
And I said, Lord, if I ever get out this classroom, I hope I won't be at another. But I enjoy it. I love kids, working with kids. But then later on, and after Fort Valley, I signed with Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
As a free agent. I signed the Detroit Lions brought me in for a workout, and I worked out with them. After that, I went to the Kansas City Chiefs invited me to two camps. Just to tell you how the numbers are to make it in the NFL. The first camp I had to attend, there was 109 participants in that camp.
My goodness. Well, I'll tell you, Ruben, I really look forward to talking to you some more about your NFL experience when we come back. And again, I'm Kevin Eckerberry with Ruben Hairston here at Whiteville Road Stadium. We'll be right back.
Lafayette Beverage is the largest beverage store in Southwest Georgia. Lafayette Beverage is a premium and luxurious spirit store that has the best customer service. Our 18 square foot store is unmatched with selections of fine wine, craft beer, and more at competitive prices. Visit us at 2068 Hamilton Road, conveniently located next to Exit 14 in LaGrange.
Are you a classic man? Come shop at K&K Classic Clothing, located at 308 West 8th Street, downtown West Point. Suits, shoes, jeans, casual wear, and more. If ever undecided, we can help dress you. Come to K&K Classic Clothing.
I'll be back.
Where every day is a good day to have a great day.
We know that when you have a vehicle, you're able to do the things you need and you love. We believe no one should be without a way of transportation. That's why at Rainey, we would do what it takes to get you in a vehicle. No matter your credit history, we are credit friendly and have flexible payment options. Just show proof of income and a valid driver license, and we will get you approved fast. Because life is too important to let credit challenges hold you back. Let us get you in a car and get back on the road. Come by and see us and let us show you why we are the name you can trust since 1963.
Hello, I'm Kevin Eckerberry, back here with Mr. Ruben Hairston, and once again I appreciate you joining us for this week's edition of Kevin's Corner. We were talking about before you started to kind of touch on your experience in the NFL. So you graduate from Fort Valley State, and at that point obviously you have all kinds of options. But did you really have the dream at that point of playing in the NFL? Was that something that had really driven you?
When I was growing up, I would watch a little bit of football. Most time I just stayed outside playing a lot. But the Kansas City, the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys, they was real high on me.
Okay.
So I thought I was going to be drafted by them. They used to come and work me out probably maybe 1 or 2 times a week. And so I was thinking that I would probably get drafted by Kansas City or the Cleveland Browns, because we ran the Cowboys offense, that semi-flex offense. So I was familiar with it a lot. And my junior year, I was ranked 10th in the nation among wide receivers. But my senior year, our quarterback, he didn't return, so it kind of hurt a lot. And then with Coach Lomax, he couldn't come back and coach anymore, so it kind of hurt the whole school and the whole team, really. They weren't able to do a whole lot of recruiting. But the Detroit Lions, after the draft, I weren't drafted, so the Detroit Lions, they brought me into Detroit and worked me out. And after Detroit, they didn't sign me. Detroit didn't sign me. Then Kansas City had invited me to a camp. So I attended that camp, and it was 109 guys
Wow.
that camp, 109. That just let you know how slim the chances are making it in the NFL. So the first camp, out of 109, they only picked 27 guys from that camp.
Wow.
All right. They invited us back to another camp. All right. Out of the last camp, it was 27. They only picked 3. They picked myself and 2 defensive backs. So that's when I went to Kansas City. And it was like a dream come true to me. You know, little country boy from LaGrange, Troup County. Lived out in the Glass Bridge, Cannonville area out that way, and just growing up, you know, and then being able to just attend college, and then go over and do some of the things that you had dreamed about and see in different parts of the world. It was just like a dream come true to me. And just meeting people, and I never will forget when in my first NFL game, we played the Green Bay Packers. And in the NFL, my specialty was punt return, kick return. So Dombrowski, he was a strong safety. So he would always let the ball hit instead of filling it in the air, because in the NFL, everything is time, and everything is based on time. He would let the ball hit, and then he'd go up and catch it and try to run.
Okay.
And Coach, at that time, let's see, how was it? It was Dombrowski, J.T. Smith, Coach Levy, he was our coach then, Coach Levy. But J.T. Smith, he was all pro. He would always help me with the punt return. I never did return punts in college, but I had been working on it in the NFL. So Coach Levy said, Hairston, get out there and return those punts. And Arrowhead Stadium, there's 72,000 people in that stadium. Here I am out there in the center of that field. I'm looking up in the Arrowhead Stadium. Everybody's looking at me. Seemed like my shoulder pad, my heart was hitting so hard, it looked like my shoulder pad was jumping up.
It's come a long way from Callaway Stadium, isn't it?
And Fort Valley also. Never been around that many people in my life, but I returned that punt and I did good on it. And so, you know, that was some of the things that I never will forget. And just catching balls in the NFL, you know, it looked like it just seemed like it's different. But it just, to me, it was just like playing football. It was a lot more pressure and everything. But, you know, I've always, Coach Lomack, he always told us, he's a Hairston. He said they can get too high, but they can't get too low.
Right.
So I would always try to catch everything that came my way. So, and I just had some good coaches back then, and they taught me a lot. So.
And I know how much it meant to you a few years back when the Chiefs broke through and won the Super Bowl. I remember I talked to you, I think before that Super Bowl.
Right, you did.
Even though it's been quite a few years since you were part of that organization.
Exactly.
To know how much that team means to that community. I know that was special for you to see the Chiefs break through.
Yeah, they love it. The Chiefs, Kansas City, the Royals too, all right there in that same complex. But everybody loved the Kansas City Chiefs, and the defense would always just bother me, secondary, but they did real good, you know, and I'm proud of them. They doing good now, so
they are.
Especially with the Buffalo Bills, they got beat last week, I think. So Kansas City that helped them out. Buffalo's been playing real good.
They have been. One thing about football, as much as you love to play that sport, you also know that your time's limited.
Oh yeah.
Because I think the average NFL career is about 4 years.
Right.
So at some point you knew football was going to end, and it did for you, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, I think you decided to, pursue a career in law enforcement.
Right.
Tell me how that kind of came about.
Well, at the time, I just wanted a job. I just wanted to do something, but I really didn't want to teach. I did a little student teaching at the time, but I really didn't want to get back in the classroom. But I just wanted something to pass time, make a little money. So I applied in Peach County. That's where I started out, And as soon as I went and applied, the sheriff pulled the application. They sent me right on the mandate.
Wow.
Got me certified in law enforcement, so that's where I started. And then I was home one weekend and Captain Talley, which he was kin to me, he said, "You need to come back to LaGrange, work for Troup County." So he talked to Sheriff Jones. Sheriff Jones hired me, so I came back to LaGrange. And after I worked for Sheriff Jones for a little while, then Judge Little, I had an inmate in the courtroom one day, and I'd worked warrants. So I was talking to the young ladies in the magistrate court, and I said, "Y'all have a nice job. I wish I had a job over here." I was just kidding with them. And they told Judge Little that I wanted to go to work for her. So one day I had an inmate in the courtroom, and she said, "I heard you want to come to work for me." And I thought she was teasing too. And I said, "Yeah, Judge, you know I want to work for you." So she said, "Well, let me work on it, see." So I forgot all about it. And then maybe a week or so, a couple of weeks would pass by, and she said, "You ready to go to work for me?" And I said, "Yeah, Judge, you know I'm ready to go to work." So she was serious, but I was playing.
Okay.
So, but after I went on and took her off on it, took her offer, and I went to work for the Marshal's Department. And things started just falling in line for me, because it was Lamar Helmer there. He was the chief marshal at the time, so they had created another position at the animal control. He loved animals, so he took the animal control job. So Judge Little, she made me the chief marshal. So it went on for a couple of years, and they had at the magistrate court. See, Judge Little, she sent us to school. So I'm a certified judge. I had to go magistrate judge. So she sent us to the University of Georgia to get certified magistrate judge. She would make us sit on the bench and listen to cases, the rule on cases. If there was a conflict with her, she would make us do it. So after that, they said we need to separate the two, because the judge has to be fair and impartial. You can't listen to a case and then go out and catch people and then come in and listen to a case. So that's when Troup County created the Marshal Department. So when they created the Marshal Department, I was the first black marshal in the state of Georgia. So that was great. It just seemed like things was falling in line for me.
Did you know that at the time that you were the first black marshal?
No, I
in
didn't
Georgia?
know it until I started going to chief
Okay.
conference and everything, and they started doing a little research on it, and they were saying, "Do you know you're the first black marshal in the state of Georgia?" So I didn't know it in the beginning. So, but it is, I'm the first black marshal in the state of Georgia. So in 2001, I was the chief of the year for the whole state of Georgia. So I thought that was great, especially with an 8-man department. But we just did our job, worked hard, and I compliment all my people. If it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't have been able to accomplish that in 2001. And that's out of 600 chiefs in the whole state of Georgia. I was chief of the year for the whole state.
Wow.
Sure.
It's kind of overwhelming,
Oh,
isn't it? Yeah. And tell me, I believe you mentioned it was 2002, you decided, or it's 2012, you were going to run for sheriff.
Yeah, I just wanted to do something different. Well, in 2005, I went to work for Homeland Security, Department of Agriculture. Okay, so in 2012, I just wanted to. 'Cause I look at law enforcement as a professional counselor. I don't look at it like just going out there arresting people. I feel like I'm here for a reason to help people.
Right.
And we're just a mediator. It's two people has a problem most of the time, and the law enforcement there to try to solve that problem and get it worked out for them. So I look at it as we're just a mediator. So I really wanted to get into law enforcement, be the sheriff of Troup County, but it didn't work out. So, but it was a blessing, because it's a lot of stress.
Sure.
So I felt like it just weren't meant to be. The Lord just didn't want all that stress, because I had gone through a lot of stress with the Marshal Department too. So I just, in a way, I feel like it was done for a reason. So.
Well, one thing, when you have a career in law enforcement, the one thing is each day is going to be different.
Oh yeah, most
so
definitely.
I'm sure when you look back,
especially the way things are now, and just like I was saying, it's to me, two professionals right now. We don't look at it as we should. I think law enforcement should be the number one priority. People should be paid well. Educators, because they take so much now, and no one never leaves. think about law enforcement until you have a problem, until it hits home. Once it hit at home, then everybody want law enforcement.
Right.
But long as you don't have a problem, you don't like law enforcement. You don't care anything about it. But in the same way about your educators in the classroom, all that they take from those kids and parents now, it's just hard, and it's hard. I know it's stressful because I've been in the classroom and law enforcement too, so I know how it is. Yeah.
No doubt. And you mentioned when you graduated from college, you at that moment in time you really weren't that interested in education.
Right.
But at some point that changed. Obviously, you did get into coaching and education. What kind of led you down that path?
Well, I've always want to help with the kids, especially like seeing some of the, especially being a wide receiver, and that's my profession, wide receiver. If I see a kid catching the ball, if I can, I'll try to correct them. Look, man, this right here will help you, and I just try to help people, especially a wide receiver.
Right.
I say, and then for some kids, I say, don't just say you're a football player. Say you're an athlete. I feel like I'm an athlete because if you're an athlete, you can excel in whatever you do. If you're a football player, that's all you can do is play football. So I tell kids, don't say I'm a football player. Say I'm an athlete. I can excel on the football field. I can excel in the classroom. I can excel in whatever I do. So that's just some things that I pass on to the kids every year.
Well, and you ended up coaching at Troop High School,
right?
Which had to be a really special experience for, number one, it was the school you graduated from,
exactly.
And number two, you got an opportunity to coach your son RJ.
Right, exactly.
When he was at Troop, that must have been a really special experience for you to be at Troop High School.
It was special. Anytime you can work with your own, it's just a feeling that you'll never get over, forget. Yeah, it was real good. I really appreciate Coach Flowers and Troop High giving me an opportunity. Like I said, I was coaching with a Coach Jeter, then I was Coach Kimball also. So, and I probably be still doing it now, but my time is so, my time is narrowing down now. So, then I had surgeries on my hips, my back. So, I don't know.
It's
something about them birthdays. They just
it's kind of the life too. When you played football for as long as you did, I know you loved the sport, but at the same time, it takes a physical toll, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it takes a toll on you. But if I had to do it all over again, I would.
Wow.
I may, go a different route, but I would do it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. And in the NFL, what's so good about it, you love the sport and you get paid well. But back then when I was playing, we didn't make any money.
No.
There weren't no money back in the 80s. But now, the guy get $1 million just putting the name on the paper. So
they do, and it's a different kind of game too. I grew up watching it then too, and there weren't many rules back then.
See, back then, they could hit you in any kind of way.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and like my back, I used to get speared all the time. Defense back, they come up and try to jar the ball away from me. They hit you in the back. My shoulders, I try to lower my shoulder. But one thing, I never didn't have a knee problem back then. I used to get hit a lot on my knees too. Defensive back, they'd come up and try to take your knees out. But it had a toll on my back, and I used to pull a lot of hamstring. But I ran track too, but I enjoyed it. I loved it, and I still love the game. I support all the high schools here, and I love football. I get excited a lot when I go to the game, especially when I see a receiver dropping balls.
Right.
Yeah, I get excited.
Yeah, there's nothing like a Friday night at a football stadium.
For a while there, it was hard for me. When I left the game, it was hard for me to go watch the game again. It took me a while before I started back want to go see a football game. It just does something to you. I couldn't be a part of it, so it was just something about it. I want to be a part of it. So.
Well, it kind of consumes your life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you look from high school to college to the NFL. But you love doing it, and you still love the sports.
Oh yeah.
And I appreciate it, Ruben, and we will be back.
I'm LaShonda Radford, co-owner of Piper's Graphics here in Lynette. We now offer embroidery services as well as our apparel and other clothing needs. We also have a 10 needle embroidery machine that we can stitch anything, just about anything you need. So if you like our embroidery services, come by and see Lady L, who's me. I'm Lady L, and Lady L Embroidery. Thank you.
Always priceless.
Lafayette Beverage is the largest beverage store in Southwest Georgia. Lafayette Beverage is a premium and luxurious spirit store that has the best customer service. Our 18 square foot store is unmatched with selections of fine wine, craft beer, and more at competitive prices. Visit us at 2068 Hamilton Road, conveniently located next to Exit 14 in LaGrange.
Back here with Ruben, and we're on the track here at the Whitesville Road Stadium. And again, like we mentioned before, this is a place that you know well because you practiced here when you were in high school, and it's a great old stadium. It really is. But you mentioned coaching. That's something you kind of developed a passion for, and you did high school, and you also told me you coached recreation football.
Right.
And that had to be really fun for you because first of all, you get the players kind of when they're starting out.
Yeah.
And the chance to, and it's so different from high school, obviously, the chance to coach young players, I don't know, 9, 10 years old, somewhere in there, that had to be a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, it was pretty much, back then it was real exciting because some of those same kids, you see them grow and mature and become young men, and you know, you can pass some of your skills on down to them and tell them how to do things. So it was real exciting. I probably would. I just didn't have the time to do it. At that time, I was with the sheriff department when I first started. And Sheriff Jones, he said, I want you to coach my football team.
Okay.
So we ended up winning the championship that year. And then it went on. Well, then that's what started. And then went with Roger Starger had a team, and RJ, he was playing then, so I was able to coach him in that Pee Wee League football. So we won the Textile Bowl championship. So it made me feel good. And
I love the Textile Bowl. Was one of my favorite events each year.
Oh, yeah.
That is so much fun for those young players to get a chance to play at the big stadium with the lights.
It'll be real cold.
Oh,
at
yeah.
that time.
It's always 20 degrees.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
cold.
I don't know how that works out.
Yeah, so.
But when I got to know Ruben was through the youth camp that you started, the West Georgia Superstar Football Camp.
Right.
What was the first year that you did that camp? Or pretty close. I know it was. It's been a couple of decades.
Years back. It was in the 80s.
It was.
And let's see, Marty Carter was playing then. Nate Hill, John Johnson, and it was a camp before those guys got into the NFL. So I would go out and see them. So after they stopped the camp, then we started the camp. Myself, Greg Hall, Boss, Big Boss, everybody knows Boss, and we started the camp. So during that time, Nate Hill would come back from Auburn, so he would bring up a bunch of the guys from Auburn.
Sure.
So we had guys from all over. Marty would bring a bunch of the guys down from the Falcons, or just one local, pretty much closer that weren't from this area, Keith Bookings. I think everybody knew
sure.
Keith.
Sure.
He would come down. Barkowski would come down, and Tony Stargell. We just had it was just like a good brotherhood back then. Everybody wanted to be involved, and it was a positive thing to try to, teach the younger kids, about life. And we would talk to them, and about football and life, about doing the right thing. So
it was what always amazed me about that camp was the caliber of instructors y'all had. It was really amazing. I mean, you had guys like Andre Bruce, who was the #1 pick in the NFL draft.
Exactly.
Went to the Falcons, and you mentioned locally Marty Carter's the Grange High guy,
local guy
who played in the NFL, and just
Tony Stargell,
and for these men to make this commitment each year, and I know you just told them when the date was, and they'd be there.
And a lot of the parents would get involved too.
Right.
I know just one, Miss Ellen Dunlap, and she would make Marty be here at that date.
Okay.
So she would get all the other parents. And it was a great thing, and like COVID kind of put a damper on it. So now I think we'll probably try to start it back next year if we can. But one of the experience for me, when we went to see the Atlanta Falcons, I took a bunch of the kids. At that time I had a transportation service. I took my bus. I took probably about 40 some kids, maybe 50 kids to the Atlanta Falcons training facility. And some of those kids never had gone out of Troup County before.
Wow.
And you could just see the expression on their face. The eyes. When we went by the Atlanta Braves Stadium, they didn't know anything about the Braves. And some of them, when we went by the Braves Stadium, they were standing up against the windows just looking and just to see. And then we went on. We stopped in Newnan, and we fed them, and then we went on to Flowery Branch. And you talking about having a great time. They would go out on the field and talk to the player, professional guy, and see how actually a professional guy worked in the NFL. So they was able to go out and just mingle in with them, get autographs, and do everything. And what made me feel good about that, it was maybe a year or so later, a couple of kids came up to me and said, "Coach, we really appreciate what you did taking us to Atlanta to see the Falcons." And that just told me a little hard. It made me feel good. But you wouldn't think a kid would be probably, forget about that. But little kid came up and told me, "Mr. Coach, we really appreciate you taking us to see the Atlanta Falcons."
Wow. Well, one of the really cool things to me about that camp is I know you'd have like players who are in college come back and serve as instructors in the camp. And a lot of them actually came up through the camp, attending it when they were children, and for them to come back. And I know I'd talk to them, and they all just talked about what a special experience that was, just being a part of that each summer. So that's kind of why you do it. Obviously, you want to
give back. You have to, if you want to get blessings, you have to give back.
Sure.
It's truly, you know, my parents, they passed that torch on down the road to us. You know, if you get your blessings when you give. The Lord will bless you for it, give you triple blessings. So I always try to do something for the kids of the community, try to help some kind of way. And then I encourage all, you know, professional guys, or just, you don't have to be a professional player, just someone in the community. Just, you know, try to be a part of positive things in the community, help, you know, do things.
Well, one of the things that always struck me too when I'd come out to the camp was the instructors. It was like a reunion for them too, because a lot of these guys don't see that much of each other anymore. So this gives everybody a chance to kind of reunite for the weekend, and y'all do special things. Y'all would go out fishing trips and that kind of
play golf and then go fishing. They really enjoy it. We all have a great time. Then some of our local supporters, we go out to the lake, go fishing. Tommy Mike at that time, he would take us out. You know, he's a tour guide. He would take us out and let us catch some of the big hybrids. And oh man, we'd be teasing each other about, you know, who caught the littlest fish, who caught the biggest fish. Had a great time. But then some of the other guys, they would, you know, give us food and just support the camp. And it was for a good cause, you know. And like I said, what makes you feel good when kids come and tell you they appreciate stuff like that. And the parents too.
Absolutely.
You know, they would call and say, "Are y'all gonna have a camp this year?" And you know, I said, "Well, not this year because of COVID, because you know we don't make nobody get anyone sick or anything. But maybe next year, if everything goes well, we can get it back going, and we can pass the torch on down to some of the kids that's, you know, gone to college. And you don't have to be in college, go to high school. Just pass what you've learned during your days, you know, pass it on to someone else. You'd be surprised, you know, you can help someone do something."
Well, that camp is an incredible benefit to this community, and sadly, some of the people who were associated with that camp are no longer with us.
Right,
I know Nate Hill, and obviously Boss. You mentioned him. Just tell me a little bit. Yeah, Vince. Good gosh, but Boss, I know he was somebody. He was really instrumental in getting this camp going. How important was he just to you?
He was a spark plug. You know, he was the fire. He would call, make sure everybody's gonna be here, and then we would know how to set things up. But he would always make contact. Say, "Look, you know, they're gonna be here." So they would all show up. If Boss told them to be here, they were gonna be here. So we was trying to get Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson came up, played golf, but he weren't able to come to the camp. So we had been trying to work on getting him up here, but now we kind of work on some of the kids are familiar with now. That's what we need now. So I've talked to some of the kids, and they said they would come and support, you know, and be a part of it.
Well, that's one of the fortunate things in our community here in Troup County. There are so many, and the surrounding county, there are so many players who've gone on to do big things in college, the NFL.
And it don't have to be football. It could be anything. Sure. It be baseball, or just pass some of your life skills. You could you'd be surprised what kid you may touch or help. Just, you know, just talking and just talking about some of your past experience.
Absolutely. Another former player you mentioned was Vince Sutton.
Oh yeah.
I did not even realize he helped out at the camp as well. Vince was, gosh, he was such an amazing player. Obviously, he won a state championship at LaGrange. Went on to play at Alabama.
Right, exactly.
And
he used to help with it. Him and John Johnson. John, he with the 49ers.
Yes. John. Yeah, John Johnson. He was a Clemson guy.
Right.
They went on to play at the 49ers. It must do your heart good too when you see players from here get the opportunity to go on and do big
well,
things. It's
do
like
well.
it's like right now there are 3 former Callaway players in the starting lineup at Auburn
Right.
at one point, and that's just again, you talk about the benefits of football.
I'm quite sure they probably attended that camp, West Georgia.
There's no doubt.
I know Jones had, because I had talked to him one day. He told me he would, whenever we had it, he would be here and he would bring some of the kids from Auburn up to
Sure.
participate.
Yeah, that's Keandre Jones. He was offensive lineman at Callaway.
right.
Now he's starting and blocking for Tanks Bigsby.
Right.
He was another former Callaway High School. And again, that just comes back to what football can do for people. I mean, I have no doubt somebody like Tanks Bigsby or Keandre
yeah.
Jones, they're going to do big things regardless, but through football, that gives them a platform.
Open up avenues for
Yeah,
you.
it's like Keandre Jones. I know he comes back and he goes over to Callaway Middle School where Kerry Woodard, the coach there, they're really close.
Right.
And he'll go over and talk to the young players, and the fact that he plays at Auburn, grabs their attention.
Right.
And again, that's the beauty. And when you see people like him, not just focusing on themselves, but actually using what they do, what they've accomplished,
Right.
to help others, to kind of,
And that's what it's all about.
it is.
Giving back.
Right,
Yep.
absolutely. And it's and it's hard because when you're playing, like I said, you're laser focused on that. And then as you go where you kind of realize that you have a responsibility
Oh yeah.
to give back. Is that something that as you went along you realize that and obviously I want to be there for me and my family, but I want to use my platform, my position, to really be there
Help someone
for
else.
others.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Right.
Helping someone else.
And tell me, look, I know we mentioned your son RJ earlier.
Right.
And he played at Troop High School.
Right.
And he played in college as well.
Yeah, he went on community college, and he had, I don't know, he went through a little bit there, and it was Coach Milner at Gordon Community College. Coach Milner was RJ's coach there at Gordon Community College in Kansas. So after talking to Coach Milner, he said, "Did you know a Milner at Kansas City Chiefs?"
Oh my goodness.
I said, "Yes, sir, I did." He said, "That was my father." So they had a bond there because I met Coach Milner and I played for his dad, and then RJ was playing for him. So they kind of had a little bond there.
It really is a small world, isn't it?
It sure is.
And I know, obviously, you've experienced so much from high school to college to law enforcement to professional football. Are you always, somebody comes to you for advice, say from one of the schools, I'm sure you're always more than willing
Oh yeah.
to kind of,
Doors always open.
yeah, and tell them I'm sure you've made mistakes along the way
Oh,
too.
yeah. We all have. No one
Right.
is perfect.
No.
Yeah, we have, and like I said, I'm always open to try to help someone.
Sure.
Yeah.
But what's next for you? Obviously, I know you want to kind of get the camp started again, but football is such a huge part of your life, Ruben. I can't imagine you ever being too far removed from it.
Yeah, right now, I kind of have my plate kind of full right now, but right now I'm doing the bail bonding,
Okay.
and then I have rental property, so it keeps me going. And then at one time, I just wanted to do something. I was driving a school bus,
Oh my goodness.
but I didn't want to. I let the school bus go, so it just kept me active. And driving the school bus, it really kept me active because I had to get up early in the mornings, get on the school bus. So now, after I've stopped driving the school bus, I still get up early in the mornings. It just,
Well,
I don't know right now.
I'm not sure I'd have the patience to drive a school bus.
Ooh, you gotta have some real tough skiing, I'm telling you.
Tell you another interesting thing about
Yes.
Ruben is you're associating with the LaGrange drag strip.
Well, a
Also,
little bit.
yeah.
Not now.
Yeah.
I kind of backed away a little bit.
That was interesting,
Yeah,
though. What was
yeah.
I think you actually owned it for a
Yeah,
while,
we
didn't you?
a part on it, right? It's like it was family owned,
Okay.
right?
But that
I still drag race, but
do you really?
yeah,
Okay.
we have a little problem down there, so I kind of backed away from the LaGrange drag strip. But I'm still in the racing business. That's something. That's another thing that I love. I've done that all my life. I had a race car when I was here at Troop High School. So we used to, matter of fact, we used to race right up and down through Sunday in the afternoons.
But y'all went the speed limit, of course, right?
Oh yeah, we went speed. It wouldn't. We had a short distance, so you couldn't drive fast. It just short.
Right. Yeah. That's something I did not know about you, Ruben. After all these years, I did not know that you.
Yeah, I love
participate in racing. Is that one of the things? Again, it just kind of brings out the competitor in you.
Well, yep, because I'm competitive. Like I tell everybody, you know, I say, now, once you pull up beside me, I don't know you.
Right.
So I'm gonna treat you like a stranger. So I'm gonna try to win. I'm gonna try to turn that light on the other end. So it's the same way in football. That defensive back get up there in front of me, I'm going to do my very best to catch that football.
Sure.
So whatever it takes to get open,
right,
I'm going to do it.
But when you look back on your playing career, I mean, it could be high school, college, the pros. Is there kind of one moment that stands out for you, or just a couple? I know you mentioned the punt return in the NFL, or when you look at your time at Fort Valley, when you kind of reflect on your days as a player, is there like, man, that moment was pretty dang special?
You know, you look back at where you came from, and it just don't. How did I get? It had to be God, because how did I get in a position like this? You know, like I said, growing up, little country boy in Gabbyville, Cannonville area, and here I am in Kansas City or in Buffalo, New York, playing for the NFL. Never dreamed, you know, I dreamed about it, but I never think it would come true. I was able to fulfill that dream that one day I would, you know, play professional football. Because I used to be in my backyard. I would get a football and I'd be playing by myself. I just throw the football up and run out and try to catch it by myself. Those things I would do at home.
Wow, that is awesome. When you think about it, the percentage of players that go to college is small. The percentage of high school players that make it to the NFL is minuscule. So you are in incredibly select company, and that's just an incredible thing to get that opportunity. And like you said, the sport, it's not easy. Football is not an easy sport.
Not at all.
It asks a lot of you, but again, it's a sport that means so much to you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Coach would always say you could be here today and gone tomorrow.
Right.
Nothing in the NFL is guaranteed. So you know, you may have a non-cut contract. They can trade you to another team. They can cut you. So nothing is guaranteed in the NFL.
It's kind of a cutthroat business, isn't it? when they're done with you, they're done.
Yeah,
with
they can
you.
get, you know, they can trade you around and move you around. I said, well, man, you got a non-cut. No, nothing in the NFL is guaranteed. You can be traded to someone else, and you can be cut. So,
well,
it was a great journey. It was good. If I had to do it all over again, I would.
Well, and the great thing is your journey is a long way from being done, Ruben. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, and I enjoyed hearing all the stories.
I appreciate you too. You've done a lot for the community. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Ruben.
If it hadn't been for you, we wouldn't be able to get it out and to get the kids to the state.
That means a lot for you to say that. Thank you very much, Ruben.
Appreciate it.